Steve Wilson with my friend Stephen Slaughter, whose doctorate is in pharmacology as a PharmD. And we have been monkeying around now, Steve, for 18 years plus.
Okay.
Winning and losing and stuff like this. And we finally come together on a product designed for the body to create energy and clean it. And you've had an enormous amount of experience, not only as an athlete, but as a professor in college, teaching a host of things from biochemistry to anatomy and physiology and biology. Plus you have a background in pharmacology second to none. And I would like to have you just address for a couple of minutes from a really highly educated position what this whole thing about immune system, how we clean our body, how we make energy, and you've got just a couple of minutes.
Okay. Like Steve says, like you've said for years, we've talked about these things, but it's been recently, the last couple of years, maybe a year, our conversation's getting deeper, more technical, more truthful about ways to clean the body. Years ago, we had a discussion about ATP and thinking that if we put ATP in one of these supplements that we would be able to have all the energy we needed, not stimulation, but energy. The fact of the matter is adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphates on an adenosine molecule, you put that into the gut's going to break it up into bits and pieces. And then you're relying on a very good body and chemistry in your body to put them all back together in the place where they do their action. So I was very skeptical of that. But recently, Steve's got into a point where you got into the point where we're trying to clean the brain, and I'm buying into this because I believe your body cleans itself mentally, spiritually, emotionally through cleaning the brain, and then nutritionally by cleaning the gut. But they're tied really close together. The reason I say this is because I have trouble sleeping. I've tried everything besides something addictive because I won't try that stuff anymore. But I discovered something that Steve has, and it's quite simply all of the peptides or amino acids that would build a molecule called GABA, which is a neurotransmitter for sleep in the brain. And I didn't believe it would work. So I tried it. I was very skeptical. Within a few minutes, I started to get sleepy. And it works almost every night, but it's not habit forming. So the fact that it worked leads me to believe that your brain can take bits and pieces, for example, very specific, well-designed amino acids. It can absorb them through the gut, take them into the system, find their way to the brain, and the brain can systematically put them together to form a neurotransmitter called GABA that promotes sleep. And I have to believe it now because it happened to me, and I'm smarter to know that it isn't a placebo effect, because I'm all about placebos. I simply believe that exercise is a great placebo for me because it makes me feel better. So I'm a believer now that the body cleans itself. We've known for years the body cleans itself digestively during the night, that a lot of digestion occurs during the middle of the night. It's a good reason why you don't eat real late, because that's going to push that digestive process further down the road, closer to morning, and you want that to be done by then. And now I'm a believer that the brain can do the same thing. You believe it's biblical? I'm sure it is, because that's how we're created, to be able to do those processes. Because if I don't get a good night's sleep, I can only get a few of those before life gets less good quickly.
Okay, so if in today's market we're talking about some viruses that obviously came along, but we live in a world of viruses and bacteria, substantial numbers, and our whole immune system should be into play to protect us. And if we junk it up with processed foods, can you describe what takes place in the gut in terms of building the immune system in your digestive system?
The best way for me to think about that is stuff that we put into our gut through our mouth by choice can either be profitable or bad for us. And a lot of the refined processed foods, especially sugar, has a strange effect on our system. I'm not talking about small amounts of sugar that are in good food. I'm talking about the vast amounts of sugar in bad food. It gets into our system, it overloads our digestive tract, retains water. Carbohydrates retain water, so you can digest them. They go into your system, it spikes the insulin. It also causes a release of cortisol into your system, and you start going through a process that you're going to start developing disease states from simple sugars. And we know diabetics, we know the plaque formations that occur in the blood vessels that raise blood pressure are commonly plaques that are probably packed down sugars with a little bit of protein in them in order to give them some substance. But the effect on the immune system is the cortisol release deadens your immune system. It's our natural anti-inflammatory, and it's also an energy producer. A release of cortisol enables you to do what we call the fight or flight syndrome, to where you can lift a car off yourself if you really have to, quickly. It immobilizes sugars and stuff from fats, but it also numbs your immune system and makes you susceptible to disease. So we're always in the state of low immune system, susceptible to disease, if we don't take the right things into our body.
Okay, so if we just talked about, just for a couple more minutes, Steve, about if a person's immune system is compromised, do they function as well not only as the head of a family, how about in the workplace, how about just playing? Things where performance becomes really important. You're in the business where you're in the middle of surgery all of the time, enormous amount of mental stress. Tell me, if your immune system is compromised and your fatigue system is involved, what is the outcome of that?
Well, in my profession, I am in sales, but there's a lot of pressure in the operating room because I work with surgeons, and their outcomes are on their mind. That's all they're thinking about. A lot of my colleagues, my younger colleagues, they're all pumped up on monster drinks. You know, their stimulation is what they think is going to get their best outcome or their best production in the room. But as you get older, which is my case, that stuff all loses its effect, and eventually it'll just tear your body into pieces. Because we can't fight that. We can't keep doing that to our body. It'll eventually wear us down, and we won't be good at anything. We'll feel like we're doing good, like we're keeping up for what we used to, but we're not. And so you get to be in my situation, as the lines of wisdom and stamina cross, you've got to find a place where you're much wiser than you used to be, and you've got to be able to provide some energy and stamina with the wisdom in order to be a successful person towards your later life. And that's where I know that if I don't do the right things for my health, that I'll be a weaker father, less of a husband, less of a leader for those people that I'm trying to lead that work with me. Even in church, I'm less genuine. I don't feel good, so I'm always trying to hide that fact. So you're not sure you're getting me, you're getting a representation of me to cover up the fact that I don't feel good. I can't do that anymore. I've got to be genuine. And if I don't feel good, I've got to be able to tell somebody I don't feel good. My goal is to feel good more times than I should legitimately at my age. So if you're not keen on that, if you're not trying to get the best out of your body performance, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you're going to be weak in something.
So we haven't gone over this, but how do you think Be Pure is treating you in combination with the sleep product, the Mitzrayim? Do you see a difference in your performance?
Yeah, two products. There's an energy production product, which has got all the good stuff it needs for producing energy. Not stimulation. There's a big difference. I want energy, paced energy that takes me through that hard time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you want to take a break but you can't. And then you want to be able to get a good night's sleep, because if you don't, you're going to wake up or come to in the morning after not sleeping at night, and you're going to start the whole rat race over again without a cleansing, without an emotional, mental, and spiritual cleansing, which is something you've got to have. So I start my mornings really early, 4:30 or 5 every morning, with a good night's sleep, based on trying to find stuff that makes me sleep better. Recently I found a product that Steve has, which is called Mitzrayim. Right?
Mitzrayim.
And it's basically a bunch of amino acids that build GABA in your brain that helps you sleep. And it actually works. And believe me being scientific, I want to prove somebody wrong when they're throwing science at me. But you can't always do that. Science isn't always factual.
It's pretty narrow.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow. There's got to be a monetary value behind everything that science finds the answers to. So sometimes it may just need to be basic rational science. It needs to be, can I put these things in the body? Is the brain going to be smart enough to make GABA, and am I going to be able to sleep? Pretty simple.
Well, Steve, this has been fun. We're laying a foundation.
Okay.
Why don't we just kind of call it quits for today, and we'll go about getting into some other areas. Thank you again, Steve.
Thank you.